Welcome, everybody, to the Centre for Child Protection's 10-year anniversary celebration. It's absolutely amazing to see such a turnout, particularly post-COVID, having people in person, but also having people on live stream as well, because the Centre has meant a lot of things to a lot of different people. So I'm Tracy Green. I'm the head of the Centre for Child Protection since 2020. I've been with the Centre since 2016, and I'm going to walk you through the evening a little bit. And I'm going to do the welcome address as well. So first of all, I just want to let everyone know we are taking pictures and doing recordings tonight, so please be aware of this. There were signs out front as well. If you have any objections, just please speak to somebody from the team. We can have a chat with you about it. Equally, I have on the screen behind me all of our social media tags. What I would really love everyone to do is pull your phones out while you're paying attention at the same time. And tweet about us, or go onto Facebook, or go onto LinkedIn, and just share your memories of your time and your experience with the Centre for Child Protection. And if this is new and you haven't got many memories with the Centre, share your experiences from tonight as well. So please get on, start tweeting and chatting on social media. We have an amazing night laid out for you guys tonight, very exciting. Just a couple of little housekeeping things. First of all, if there's a fire, we're not expecting any alarms, so if something happens, it's probably real. We have fire exit door here. Just go out to the side. There'll be a road where we can congregate. It's there to be safe. Of course, there's also these doors, and you'll be familiar with the doors right around the corner. And if you go to the left, there are toilets for those who are here in person, in case you need them. We don't have any rest breaks within these 2 hours because it is just 2 hours. And I know everybody's drinking a little bit, so hopefully we can make it 2 hours. But if not, please make yourself comfortable and take yourself out of the room if you need to. Okay, without any further ado, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. So the Centre for Child Protection was created in 2012 by Professor Jane Reeves and Professor David Shemmings, who are the co-founders. And they had an idea for an interprofessional Centre for Excellence that would make the most of the latest technology and some innovative ideas in child protection training and advancement. Now, I'm really pleased to say that both Professor Reeves and Professor Shemmings are with us here tonight, and they're going to be reflecting a little bit more later tonight about their journey with the Centre and the impact they've had in child protection in general, so I'm looking forward to hearing from them. Now, equally in 2012, what started was 3 main arms of operation with the Centre. There's our postgraduate program, there's our continuing professional development strand, and there's also our innovation and our research in child protection. Now, I'm going to talk about all of these strands throughout tonight. And what it is these strands have all accumulated together to make the Centre a multi-award-winning public engagement and impact institution. We've had a significant impact in child protection, and that's what we want to talk through tonight a little bit more. I'm only going to touch on things. We're going to go into more detail another with Professor Shemmings and Professor Reeves, and of course, Professor Monroe as well as Venetia. So to start, I just want to reflect on our postgraduate program. We have, since 2012, every year we've had a cohort of students undertaking our MA in Advanced Child Protections or certificates, diplomas, our postgraduate programs. And every year since 2014, we have had a cohort graduating. We need 2015. We can't find 2015's images, so if you are from 2015, please send us a graduation photo if you have them. I just want to say that our alumni make up the heart of the Centre for Child Protection. It's not just on program, although on program they're absolutely brilliant, because Venetia will tell us a lot more about them, but they come from around the world. They come locally, they come nationally. They bring in expertise and, again, a number of different child protection professions. So we've got social work, we have health, we have education, and they all come together. And we really embrace the community that's created from our postgraduate alumni and our postgraduate students. We stay in touch with them on LinkedIn with a closed group with them. What an amazing resource that is to get for them and for us to build and to grow and to share knowledge in child protection. But equally, they come back and help on multi-award collaboration award panels, collaboration award panels. They come back and do PhDs with us. They are just a huge part of what the centre is. We've even had some who've gone on and created simulations with us, who we go and deliver training in their organisations, or they come and support us and deliver training on our MA as well. So it's a real back and forth relationship with our alumni, and I know it's a hard slog because most of them work full time while doing their MA, and it's just lovely that you're part of this. So huge well done, and thank you for being part of the centre and everything you contribute. The other arm of the centre is our research and our innovation strand. Now we have two main suites of CPD training that we offer. There's the Rosie suite and the grooming suite, both of which were written and pioneered by Professor Jay Reeves and Professor David Shemmings as well. And it doesn't stop there. So that's what's out there now. You can read lots more about it on our website, but we have some really exciting new things happening as well. For example, Professor Reeves, the Centre, the Lawn Tennis Association are in collaboration with an imminent launch of a new simulation looking at safeguarding in sport. And the Centre and Professor Reeves and ECPAT and A21 are also in collaboration on another simulation that is looking at tackling child sexual abuse in Thailand and Cambodia, which is in the process of being launched as well. Really exciting. I think Jane's going to tell us more about those later. Aside from those I've mentioned, we have had fantastic collaborations with a number of other amazing organisations, such as Erasmus, University of Kent, NHS, the Home Office, Kent Police, CAFCAS, Childline, Kent County Council, and more. It's just an absolute collaboration. The partnerships we build with these institutions is fundamental to the success of the simulations. We have to have the real lived experience, the frontline knowledge. That's what makes these simulations so amazing as well. And I have to thank Player 3, and I know you're here, I've seen you somewhere, who is our game developer guru. I think he's been involved in not quite all of our simulation designs, but pretty darn close to all of them. I hope it's okay that I said darn. And also, I do want to just especially thank the University of Kent. There's a lot of people here tonight, or who, if they're not here, they were in the hall, who are the heart and soul of the Centre for Child Protection as well. So thank you, everybody from the University of Kent, for helping us with our research, for helping us with our CPD, and for helping us with our postgraduate students as well. Now, what of these simulations that I keep talking about? Now, what they do, what they've been found is there's evidence, supporting evidence to suggest 4 key influences from these simulations: that they're advancing practitioner knowledge and practice, that they're informing workplace planning, practice, and opportunity, and that they're influencing child protection pedagogy and heightening young people's awareness. For example, we've reached over 8,000 people who have licenses to Rosie 2 and My Courtroom. And they're using these simulations for their own personal development to bring training into their organizations as well, and they're tackling complex, difficult topics. I think conservative estimates suggest between 100,000 and 800,000 young people have been trained using the grooming suite of simulations, which are designed to help them identify and keep themselves safe from grooming, as well as keeping them safe online as well. And it goes from strength to strength. Over the years, I've tried to come up with a spread of comments here. But our simulation, our CPD, our training keeps receiving amazing feedback. It's because it's immersive, it's professional, it's topical, they're important subject matters as well. And again, Jane will talk a little bit more about this because I know I only have the 10 minutes right now anyway. So that's our past. And over the last decade, the Centre for Child Protection has had a lot of shakes and shimmies and moves around, really. But the heart of the centre has not waned in all of that time, and it will not wane. We still remain as dedicated to child protection via our postgraduate programs, through our CPD, and through our research and our innovation. So I thought I'd just take a minute to talk about some of the exciting things we have on the horizon. For example, we are working with Kent Police at the moment on a pilot simulation training tool, and this is looking at bringing trauma-informed practices into police practices, so that particularly when working with young girls who have lived experiences of child sexual exploitation. And that is starting later this month, I'm happy to say, and it will be taking us into the end of next year and beyond, hopefully, because we do have some ambitious plans we want to see come to fruition. We've also launched our Child Protection and Healthcare short course with Kent Medway Medical School this year, with outstanding feedback. So much so that we're going back in. We're going to be delivering it 2 times in the new year as well, And we have some plans to maybe start launching this nationally as well with other medical schools, because it's such a valuable experience for medical practitioners. And finally, we are going to be announcing the winner of our inaugural Collaboration Award, which is an opportunity to really celebrate outstanding multidisciplinary working in child protection practice. And I'm really excited to share we have a winner, and we have two highly commended, because they were just such outstanding nominations. And lastly, my final slide, when your passion is child protection, you're going to have a public engagement arm quite clearly. One of the things that we did last year, 2021, was a conference called Exploitation 2021. And this was looking at exploitation, and it brought together a huge community of collaborators, whether it was people with lived experiences or families who've had experiences, researchers, collaborators, policymakers, academics, on the topic of exploitation. Really great feedback on that as well. And it's something we'll be looking to do again, not necessarily exploitation, but the conferences. So watch the space, keep an eye on what's up on our social media and our newsletter if you're not signed up already. We also launched this year our Critical Conversations in Child Protection webinar series. And we had 5 webinars leading up to this live event tonight, which again, based on really amazing feedback, we've made a decision that we're going to continue this into the new year as well. So we will be having a new series started as well. So again, watch the space. And finally, there's the My MA Dissertation series. This is about our alumni again, who want to give back as well. They work so hard on their 2 years on the program. They write such amazing dissertations where they've done amazing research on really topical subject matters. And why waste it? They're taking their time to create 5-minute little segments highlighting the key findings of their research to make a difference in practice and disseminate some of those findings. So I'm sure I've gone over my time a little bit. So what I'm going to say is we are really proud of our past at the Centre for Child Protection. We're really excited about the future, and we're absolutely thrilled to be celebrating our 10-year anniversary with all of you here tonight and on the live stream. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Professor Jane Reeves. She's going to be talking about the Centre for Child Protection, Change, Partnership and Innovation in Child Protection Education.
Hello there. I'm Jane Reeves, and along with Professor David Chemmings, one of the co-founders of the Centre for Child Protection. And what I am going to talk about, it always throw Einstein into the title because it always grabs attention. But what I'm going to talk about essentially is the change in child protection education that David and I were passionate about instigating and thinking about in terms of innovation. And I suppose what I'm going to do over the next 20 minutes is take you on my journey. So it is my journey. They're my reflections over the last 10 years of how we brought the centre together, the kind of developments we had and the challenges along the way. And I think it's really important to remember that what we really wanted to do was to bring together innovation in child protection education. And we wanted to do that to the best possible standard with the best possible materials in the most innovative way. And that was our benchmark. And I think that that's quite important to say because that was quite a high benchmark and it made a lot of what we were trying to do harder to achieve. But I think the results of that show in what Tracy has said and the future directions of the centre because it felt and it feels very robust. What we have developed. So I think that's a great springboard for the team to take that forward in the future. So I shall be very impressed if you know what this is the formula for. Everyone, apart from David, who's got a PhD in maths, can have a go. What do you think that's the formula for? Any ideas?
Success?
Good guess. It's a tricky one. It's actually the formula for innovation. And I wish somebody had shown me that 10 years ago, because it probably would have made my job a lot easier over the years. So it's an innovation, a formula for innovation, and what it's actually saying, I'm not going to explain it in immense detail because that would be really embarrassing because I couldn't, but what it's saying is it's from the Management of Innovation organisation, and what it's saying is essentially that innovation is about knowledge, it's about invention, entrepreneurship and community, which I think is really quite interesting. And I had no idea this formula existed, but actually some of that actually rings true to what we tried to do with the development of the centre. And so I will kind of come back to that. So in the beginning, if you like, David and I came together with ideas formed in different ways. David got some money from the innovation funding here, and I had already looked at developing a gaming simulation for child protection, and we kind of came together with our ideas. And I think it's really important to say that Kent was incredibly supportive of that. We just kind of pitched up, we had some contacts, and we were so passionate about what we wanted to do to effect change in child protection training. It was really interesting the way that that was picked up and received by Kent. And EG at the time said, go away, write a business plan, and we'll explore it further. And so I was employed in 2011 for a year as a researcher, and I spent a lot of time going out looking at how other people train in child protection, and that kind of dead-looking body there is kind of how they do that in medicine. I learnt a huge amount in that year. I also went out to other organisations, local authorities, voluntary organisations, to see how they were training. And training was on a tipping point in that time in child protection. Training teams were being kind of reduced, and there wasn't the money around for that. And so people were looking for other ways of training, essentially, which was really quite lucky. I very much come at the idea of simulations from a gaming perspective. And when I was going around talking to people about it, many people looked at me like I was actually completely mad, blending gaming and child protection, two completely weird concepts that you wouldn't think would go together. But that was the essence, I suppose, in mine and David's hearts, that we had something there. And so after 2011, we put our business case together, and the business case was to develop an online blended learning MA, which at that time was quite revolutionary, really. We can't believe that now, following COVID, and to develop teaching and learning, different ways of teaching and learning in child protection, which was to develop suites of simulations to bring the best of child protection into professional child protection, into a different way of teaching and learning. So, I'm never going to get through all this, but I just thought this was useful, and I don't know whether you will have these slides available after. But this is really the essence of how the centre developed. There was change in the child protection sector. Eileen's review was absolutely central to that. I think a number of issues and events collided really for us to enable us to really pursue that change. And so we had Eileen's review. There was a taste for change. As I said, the training within local authorities of social workers was looking to change. It was expensive the way it was, and there were feelings that actually is a video and cracking back the chairs and pretending I'm the mum and you be the social worker. You know, I think there was a kind of appetite for change from that. We had a lot of networks. I say we, but David had a huge amount of networks. If we needed people to try our ideas out, if we needed people to come to an event, if we needed people to give us their ideas and think about what our ideas were about, then we had those networks. And that was absolutely crucial. And those people became the friends of the centre, and they actually became some of the agents of change who moved with the development of the simulations. They supported us, and they took them back to their organisations. Within the university, once we had the go-ahead from EG to develop the centre, I suppose I've highlighted in purple there what I think were the key variables really that helped the centre take off and helped the centre develop. And one of those was the absolute and complete dedication of the staff. I'm not going to talk about that because I'll end up booing, and that won't be a good idea. But very passionate staff, very passionate people who really got the idea, got the message, and were great advocates for the centre and worked incredibly hard. And then for me, as the day-to-day manager, if you like, the centre was put under the auspices of a steering committee. And for me, I think that's the one essential ingredient that when that went, that took something away from the centre, and that took something away from the leadership of the centre, if you like. And the steering committee was headed by Professor Diane Houston, and what she did was bring together different elements within the university that could help each other. Me, got no idea really how Moodle works, still don't actually. There was a thing called external Moodle, never heard of it. And what the steering committee did was bring together those people who met once a month and could help the idea of the simulations, the training, external training happen and make it happen. It was difficult, but the right people were in the right room. When you've got deans in the room, that spreads the idea, that gives gravitas to what you're doing. So they really helped advertise the centre around the university. And I still think if there was one thing that I could change, it would be that steering committee carried on and supported the centre, because I think that was absolutely vital. I didn't feel quite so alone with David, really. There was the support and structure within the university. Then I think the other brilliant thing that the steering committee helped the centre do was to employ trainers. And that was a real departure. That was a hard battle, if you like, because trainers and the trainers that we have and had, they knew their business. They knew what they were doing. They weren't, it wasn't an academic training necessarily that we wanted to do. We wanted to reach out to teachers who were already trained, go in, take the simulations on grooming, neglect, grooming, radicalisation, to people who needed this in their day-to-day life. And that, again, for me, was an absolute game changer and really changed the tempo, if you like, and made CPD a real possibility. It wasn't me as a professor going out and doing the training, it was someone who had been in those jobs and was doing that, and was interpreting the simulations and helping them to be really useful for them in their day-to-day work with children and young people. So, the growth of the centre started to grow, the MA started to be a real success, thanks to a huge amount of hard work, and again, that was working across the university, again with colleagues Venetia, who helped start the MA, but also colleagues who helped shove this stuff onto Moodle and make it happen, and that was great. Within the MA is aimed at colleagues who are already trained, so they're already got their professional qualifications, and many of them were in senior positions, and I don't think that's something we anticipated. So they became almost our agents of change also. So there's a huge symbiotic relationship between the MA and the simulations, and we formed huge, long-lasting friendships with these people who became advocates for the centre, and they started to get the message out there too. They started, you saw the pictures of the MA students, 2014, 2015, 2016, they were the people who went out and said, hey, University of Kent, amazing MA, all this material, it's there, you don't have to go and look for it. The best quality, it's got the best people, it's got real experts from all around the world speaking on it, fantastic, but they've also got these simulations. And so they became really key people for us. And then meeting Pete. I can't even remember how we met Pete, to be fair. Pete's from Player 3, and I always say that David and I and colleagues from the centre and interprofessional learning sets, we come up with the ideas for the games, and then what Pete does is he sprinkles fairy dust all over it. And he turns what we do and what we want to do into a realistic way for professionals, and then we moved on to designing simulations for children and young people, and he makes them appealing for the children and young people, and he makes the professionals remember in what he does, and that can be in the characterisation, and that can be in the techniques that he uses, like we keep going back again, I keep saying this to Lara Croft, why do we go back to gaming? It's because there are the elements in there, and that's what Pete does. And without Pete and Player 3, the centre would not have that enormous success, so thank you, Pete. So we've made friends. Everything we designed in terms of the simulation was based on research, so that gave it the academic rigour and the robustness, and we blossomed, basically. We started to work with amazing partners like the NSPCC, Childline, CAFCAS. Some of them started to pay for the development of simulations, again, interprofessional learning sets, Fairy Dust, Bish Bash Bosh, another simulation, more training delivered by the expert trainers. And I think we also started to develop a really good marketing strategy with Karen, our marketing manager. And that was, David and I went to talk at conference, and then there was always a stand there were always goodies to give away, there were always amazing marketing materials, and then we'd sign people up for the training, and then the trainers would go in and deliver that training. So there emerged a system that at that time worked really well. It was very tiring, it was all up and down the country, it was amazing fun, but it was also generating a huge amount of business for the centre. And that became a kind of central core strategy for the way that we worked. We also worked with amazing local authorities like Devon and Kirklees, who took, for example, Rosie and our other simulations, and they used it in their own imaginative way. For example, Kirklees used the simulation as a basis, but then they got actors in to act out some of the characters as well. So, very different use. And then, of course, we had an amazing partnership with the University of South Australia, and a huge moment for me, realising that what we developed in Rosie, which was for practitioners, was going to be used by the government in South Australia, and they designed a training package around Rosie, and you had to become, when you became a social worker there, you had to become Rosie competent, which is a huge impact, really, if you think about it, which was an idea that came from basically practice that needed to be improved in the UK. So there were themes that go across borders that are global in terms of child protection. External recognition helps. And as Tracy outlined, the centre won many awards over the years, and that really does help. It cements. People can see that you're successful. It gives you another amazing opportunity, another marketing opportunity to show what you do. We became trusted, and I'll talk just briefly about that in terms of the brand. We've worked up to the REF 2021. Tracy worked amazingly hard with that, with the team. Fantastic outcome to become an impact case study. And then we started, obviously, over the years to get grants and to get money to develop future simulations. So why are they so special? Why is the MA so special? And I think at the time it took a place in the market that wasn't there, and I think the team have developed and adapted that, and I think Venetia's going to talk about that. But what it offered was a 360-degree perspective of the child protection system, which no other qualification course actually did. But at the heart of it was the voice of the child, and the voice of the child came through the simulations that you could immerse yourself in. You could hear the voice of the child. You can hear Rosie's voice living in a family where neglect is paramount. You can hear Lottie's voice when she's being sexually abused online and groomed. You can hear those children's voices, and that's really what the centre has become famous for. And stepping slightly back and being out there with other organisations, the first thing people say to me, Centre for Child Protection. The second thing they say to me is Rosie, and the third thing they say to me is wow, amazing. So those are the ingredients that people remember, and that's really important. And I think, I don't know if anybody else thinks this, but I think there's a moment in one of the modules on the MA where everything clicks, and we've got some alumni here, but I think it's bringing trauma-informed relational practice, not only to social workers, bringing that into professionally, bringing concepts, ideas and theories that they may never have heard of in other professions, and training together with social workers, with nurses, sexual health workers, you name it, they're in the room. And that gives that all-round kind of education that we've tried so hard in child protection to tackle, that we're not in our silos, that we're learning together. And Rosie and the simulations like that offer that opportunity. It's not my case, it's not your case, it's a case, and we can immerse ourselves in that world, in that child's world, and we can have those different discussions. Why the simulations? Why do I think they're so special? We went for an aspiration, really, to, we've now just released Mayan Bay in Thailand and Cambodia in 3 languages, and what I sat and thought about was, this isn't just now about a simulation and education and CPD and training. It's actually a preventative education package, actually, and we've done that internationally. And so we've moved from having the idea, will it work? Has Pete got enough fairy dust left? Can this happen? Will people like it? Will they remember? Will they learn? To something that actually is so robust. We always have a training pack. Emma must be sick to death of writing training packs. Everything comes with a training pack. All the professionals are trained when we deliver the simulations. No one gets a licence without having had the training. And again, the whole licensing element, I could do half an hour on that. You know, and again, that's about having a university system that is robust and supports that, that will support that innovation. I think we've got better at it. We've now built in data into the back of some of the games. I say we, Pete and his team, so that we can analyse data more easily now. Why we didn't do that in the first place, I don't know. But anyway, we've evolved. It's evolved. And I think that makes the academic research element much easier, if you like, to distill out. Right, I know I'm being looked at because I'm running out of time. I just want to say that how they work, you can look at the slides, you can see the research. They work because they're amazing, but they also work because you are immersed in an environment, and there's a huge amount of research that goes to say if you're immersed in an environment, you will retain that information. The brand, I think it's worth talking about the brand just very briefly. All the simulations are based on children's names. The children's names are there because they're at the heart of the centre. It's about thinking about the child. It's about seeing the child at the centre of everything we do in child protection. We have a stylisation which Pete and his team have developed for us over the years. I've always dreamt of having a Pixar quality. I very nearly have it. Very, very nearly have it with Mayan Bay. It's really amazing. And it's about that, going back to that best quality, having the best standard you can afford and the best quality that you can do. Again, research informed, and again, nobody gets a licence to use the Kent products without having been trained. Very, very quickly, this is one of our simulations on grooming. It's on radicalisation. It's called Mariam and Joe Behind Closed Doors. You can see that there are features there that the children and young people have to go through. They have to traffic light things, they have to make comments, they have to start to critically analyse what's going on in somebody's life. They have to think about the children, and they have to think about their lives, how they're being groomed, where they're being groomed, and they have to start to think about making decisions about keeping those characters safe. Crossing the line has already been mentioned. It was the cheapest to develop. Emma developed it, we wrote it, and Pete designed the characters, and it's for professionals, and it's about gangs, it's about criminal exploitation, it's for professionals. They have to come up with decisions and outcomes for the children. They have to make safety plans. They have to work together interprofessionally. Emma delivers it online, and has roomfuls of people who work together interprofessionally. Again, a key core concept of the centre to find solutions for these children. May and Bay, I don't know if that's Thai or Khmer, but it shows you it's in different languages, it has voiceovers, it is truly amazing, and again, it's for our youngest group of children. I think you can see there from 8 to 14, and what the children do is they discuss it in groups. It can be taught from the front. They absolutely love it. It's been a very different journey in terms of thinking about simulations with such young children and young people. But you can see some of the screenshots on the screen. And then finally, the safeguarding in tennis simulation that Tracy mentioned. This is just for professionals. It's going out across the country to train club welfare officers and county safeguarding officers across Britain. And this came about, as Tracy said, due to a colleague being on the MA and seeing our simulations and thinking we need to think about grooming in sport. It was actually funded by Sport England. Again, a huge amount of gravitas, an amazing organisation to work with. I'm nearly done. Just wanted to show you this. We talk about really complex, horrific issues, and one of the things that Pete does for us is this is about Izzy being asked to take her clothes off, and she is being sexually abused. And what Pete and his team do is they take these words that we've written on the screen, that we've put together, this storyline, and he makes it acceptable somehow to be able to portray this. And that's very clever. That's very clever technique to be able to do that in a way that isn't upsetting or doesn't exploit the child in any way. And that takes a huge amount of thinking about. Again, this is for adults, this isn't for children, but again, we've had to think about those issues every time that we've developed a sim. So, I'm at the end of my presentation, and I suppose this is my formula for innovation in child protection education. This is what I've learned over the last 10 years. It starts off with an idea, it starts off with a passion. There has to be an infrastructure to support that, the ideas and the passion, and that's what I've said about the steering committee, the legal advice, the passion from the staff, the knowledge from the staff. It's also about making those relationships. You need that support. You need support, you need luck, and you need stamina as you grow, and you have to have those agents of change. You have to get the funding, you have to have amazing marketing and a very committed team. And then I think we're at the next stage, which is where Tracy and the team are now taking that forward. The world is their oyster. They've got amazing opportunities and directions to go in. They've got amazing ideas, but it's about building on those robust products, I would say, the sustainability of the products, sustainability of the MA, which they all know anyway, and building on that reliable brand, which I really think is out there. And it's about predicting what the next thing is, and I think that's the clever thing, but I know they'll do it. Thank you very much.
Can you hear me okay? Not yet. Hello, hello, testing, there we go. Thank you very much, Jane. That was really, really insightful and a trip down memory lane, actually, and some of the memories some information that I didn't know about from the very beginning as well. I would like to next introduce Professor David Shemmings, who's going to be talking about child protection is rocket science and recognizing working with complexity. I'm just going to turn on your mic.
Oh, sorry, I'm on mute. This is the 5th time in 2.5 years I've spoken to a live audience. The rest of the time people have been at their screens in their pyjamas, saying that their camera won't work, etc. But you've all got to stay here now for the rest of the session. So I'm just going to give some thoughts over the, 10 years, that's the point, of my thinking and how it's informed what's gone on. And I think it really does go back to what Jane said about trauma-informed practice and relationship-based practice. It was about 10 years ago. I was on a train going to London, and there were two people who clearly were talking about child protection. There was something in the newspaper. And one of them said, well, come on, it's not rocket science. And I sat there and thought, really? It's not rocket science? I think you find it is. And it just struck me. Oh, I can use this thingy. Yay. I don't have to keep going over there. It probably is rocket science. Let's take a look at the differences. Actual rocket science can rely on very precise and accurate predictions. And then, they're the clever ones, that they make sense of what the scientists do in ground control. We are nowhere near that level of predictability in child protection. That's not to say, oh, anyone can do rocket science. Of course not. But it is actually just a series of equations. I mean, they're bloody complicated, but we can't all turn our hand to them. But it is actually a series of equations. You don't have anything like that level of predictability, certainty in what you do. Just let me draw on three things. Firstly, those haunting pictures of Arthur and Star in the newspapers. Both those children were smiling. Children will smile when they're in great danger. Evolutionarily, it tells another person, if I smile, I'm happy, or I'm not a danger to you. And the difficulty is it's very difficult to tell from the facial expression alone which intentional state I'm coming from. And if you remember, again, those haunting pictures of Victoria Climbier with the ones with the bunches, she was smiling, and people often said, here's Victoria again. We call her our little ray of sunshine. But clearly now that we've got the benefit of Professor hindsight, she was clearly not happy. So going on what people tell you, that's not to say they're lying. I'm not saying that at all. And please don't think I'm saying that if a child smiles, you should be worried about it. I'm not saying that. But that's the problem you have. You don't always know what's behind the facial expression. So if we look at another phenomenon that makes child protection complex and challenging, it's the quality of information that we have. Let me just illustrate this. It's from a book by Chris Dyke called Writing Analytical Assessments in Social Work. Okay, it's social work focused, but I can assure you the content of that book would apply to any professional group. And it's really lovely to see so many friends here this evening, alumni, students, PhD students, and 3 new colleagues and friends who've come all the way from Gibraltar to be with us tonight. And hopefully there's going to be some collaboration with them. So this is Chris, not me. Quality of information. Knowing that someone has substance misuse issues tells you nothing. Does it mean they smoke cigarettes and a joint of cannabis once a week? Or does it mean they're an intravenous heroin user spending £300 a week? Tip, say what's happening. For example, there are issues of substance misuse and physical chastisement in the home leading to Amy self-harming could mean Mum drank a litre of vodka, which she does at least 4 times a week, and hit Amy with a metal stick. As a result, Amy jumped off a bridge intending to kill herself. Or Mum smoked a joint of cannabis, argued with Amy and slapped her. Afterwards, Amy made superficial cuts to her wrists. Chris again. Neither situation is good, obviously, but one is decidedly more serious than 2. Using general terms for a specific incident misses the detail. And the detail helps you assess needs and risks. And if I'd written that, I'd have just added, and how best to help. Because how you help Mum and Amy is considerably, I would suggest, different from scenario 1 and 2. Now that raises the question, how on earth do you get that detail? Or sometimes it will come from other agencies. But do you know what? There's only one way you're going to get that level of detail, and it's from Mum and Amy. It's from Mum and Amy. And the only way you're going to get that level of detail from Mum and Amy is if they believe that you're there to help them, which usually you can do. Obviously, there are some situations where you can't and you have to remove a child. But contrary to what one would see in the press, that's actually quite rare, thank goodness. We can and do help families. But in order to help Amy and Mum, you actually need to know what's going on. And the only way they're going to tell you that is if they trust you. So that's where the relationship-based practice, golden thread, comes in through the programme, in the games and the MA. Just finally from me, one of the other things that I think is really important is in terms of, and Tracy talks very eloquently about this in her talk that she mentioned earlier. What's the series called?
Critical Conversations.
Critical Conversations. I knew that, just seeing if you were. She talks about, are checklists a bad thing? And of course, she's an academic. Obviously, the answer is it depends. Because academics always answer things with it depends, because it does. It does depend. What does it depend on? Well, it depends on the accuracy of the instrument and the subjective judgment. I don't mean being judgmental, but the ideas, the assessment of the worker, the intuition, if you like. They're using, just to quote Malcolm Gladwell, thin slicing the information, not thick slicing it. Somebody else called Gigan, Renza and Todd called that fast and frugal heuristics. Just thought I'd sound a bit academic for a minute. Fast and furious heuristics, rules of thumb, fast and frugal, thin slicing the information. Because if you thick slice it, you get too much and you get analysis paralysis. I didn't come up with that either. That's Malcolm Gladwell. So it depends on the accuracy of the instruments you're using and the individual. Now, just in conclusion, a piece of research that one of my brilliant PhD students of yore, Dr. David Wilkins, there's others in the room, he did a very interesting piece of research where he presented 350 social workers. It is social workers in this one, but it would apply across the piece, with 15,500 bits of information on cases, I don't like the word, but family work, which was ongoing. I don't know that there's any studies like this. So they present 350 social workers with 15,500 bits of information about 17 families that are being worked with, but come to a conclusion. But the 350 social workers don't know what the conclusion is. And they're asked to predict from the information that they've got, the 15,500 bits of information, what they think the outcome would be. And I'm not going to tell you the results of that because it's not, it's going to be published, but it's just doing the rounds of different journals. So I don't want to actually say what the result of that is, but keep an eye out for it. David Wilkins. It's fascinating. I don't know that another study has done that, to actually say, can we use our intuition or our checklist, risk assessment devices, to actually predict what happens in a situation where we then know at the end what happens? But look at this. Sorry. He asked some of this group, what do these words mean in terms of risk? What does might mean? If you see in something this might happen, what does that mean to you? And there was a difference of 10% to 51%. Look at this. Distinct possibility, 20%. Some people think, if you tell me there's a distinct possibility, it's kind of 20%. Other people, it's 100%. Just feast your eyes on those words for a minute. the range and variation of what people think those words mean. Rocket science ain't like that. Rocket science is much more clear-cut and precise. The end. I did that a bit quicker so that I don't eat into Eileen's talk.
Thank you, David. Absolutely amazing. What an insightful diagram to get you really thinking about the words we use. We're going to hear from Venetia Jasal now, and she's going to talk to us about building a community of child protection practitioners and the journey of a decade.
Can everybody hear me? First time I've used one of these, so I'm hoping you can hear me, yeah? Okay, lovely. So, where's that clever thing? Okay. Oh, so clever. That's it. Can you see that okay? Yeah, lovely. So, I'm Venetia Jasal. I'm the Director of Studies at the Centre for Child Protection. And it's been a real privilege to have been with the Centre for Child Protection right from its inception, to see how it all started, to see it develop and to see it sort of go into new directions now. It's been an absolute delight, and it's been lovely to see Jane and David back today. And like Jane, I will get quite emotional, so I won't say too much about that. One constant in the centre has been the centre's commitment to its student body, and that is what I have been asked to talk about today, and I'm really privileged to be able to do that. The aspect of the centre I've been asked to talk about is building a community of child protection practitioners and the journey of a decade. So it's been a phenomenal decade. So I'll try to sum it up in 10 minutes. I'll do my best. The strength of the centre has been the capacity and its willingness to invest in our student group, and it's really, really great to see some of you here today. And I will be primarily drawing upon our... hi, Andy. Oh, sorry. I've seen Andy for 2 years. A Masters in Advanced Child Protection programme, of which I'm a Director of Studies. So this slide here just shows you very briefly but very visually our student composition. So our students come from all sectors of child protection. That was the ethos of the centre, to make it an interprofessional master's programme. It is an interprofessional centre. So even though this is only showing recent years, the trend has been the same since we launched in 2013, the Masters. Primarily, we get students from the health, social care, education sectors. Increasingly, we get the police joining us, which is really, really good. So a little plug for the MA, we are recruiting again for a January start. So anybody who wants to join the MA in January, I know our Gibraltar colleagues have already spoken to you. Please do see me at the end of the session. So we're really happy that we've managed to retain that interprofessional nature of the MA. And it's important because this strengthens our community of practitioners. Having an interprofessional dimension to the centre really, really strengthens what we do. As we all know, and Professor Eileen Munro's work over the years has emphasised that it is interagency working which really, really helps keep children safe. And we really need to keep working, and that has been the key strength of the centre. We need to keep working on that, and our student body helps us to keep contributing to that. So our students bring a whole wealth of knowledge and experience even before they get to us. They are already living and breathing child protection work still, so they are already embedded in the work of child protection before they come to us. So it's always in the centre. Our sort of model of teaching has always been modelled on this two-way journey. So we, as a teaching team, learn just as much from the students as they learn from us and our programmes. So on that note, I just want to share a quote from Rabindranath Tagore, who many of you may know, who was an Indian poet and philosopher from the late 19th century, early 20th century. And what Rabindranath Tagore said was that the main objective of teaching is not to give explanations, but to knock at the doors of the mind. So for the next 10 minutes, or maybe less, Tracy, I will try to provide an insight to how we've knocked on the doors of the minds of our students. And by that, what I mean is taking them beyond practice. They are already experienced practitioners. But what we want to do is, and I think we do very well, is take them into the realm of higher thinking, critical analysis, critical writing, and to help them really develop their practice and their skills. And like I said, I think one of the key skills of the centre has been our willingness to really invest in that and to draw upon their experiences. Creating a community of practice takes time. It takes a lot of time and it takes effort. And it takes a lot of nurturing of those who are part of our community. And I hope the students who are here today would agree. If you don't say anything. But I hope that you do agree that we have achieved that. You know, we sort of bring you together. We hold you for 2 years. I feel really well with the support systems in the university, with people at Andy, library services, and people from admissions. It is, like Jane said, it is very much a team effort here. I'm not just claiming the centre does this all on its own. So we hold you for 2 years, and we help to sort of help you to grow personally and professionally. And from here on, I'll just use the word community to just for ease. So a community of practice has to have something in common. So the common goal for all of those in our community of learners is that you want to keep children safe. And I think Eileen and David and Jane have all highlighted that is really difficult and emotive work. Yeah, so you all have a common goal when you join us. That is your objective from the start to when you finish the MA, is to keep children safe. And you reach a point in your careers where you feel that the skills and knowledge that you have, you want to add to that. There may not be, you may feel they're not equipping you to sort of undertake your child protection work to the level that you want to. Child protection work is becoming more complex. It's becoming, it's evolving and changing all the time. So you reach a point where you want to go and acquire some new skills and knowledge. And you also want to continue making those difficult decisions that Eileen talked about. You want to make sure that you are making decisions which are rooted in really rigorous research, academic theories. So that's why you come to us. And obviously your common goal is to pass. We do have an excellent retention rate and completion rate. So we do feel we achieve that as a centre as well. And within that goal, you really do help each other as a student group. So you develop really a strong peer-to-peer support network, and you form friendships which go beyond your time at Kent. I know that. So another thing that is really critical to our community of practice is this willingness to share your experience and expertise. The MA programme particularly, and as well as our standalone modules, they're all modelled on this online, like as Jane spoke about, the online master's programme. It has within it discussion forums, online discussion forums, where students come together for 2 years and they share phenomenal amount of information about their case examples, anonymised, of course, their personal stories, which have helped shape their practice. And so this is really valuable data in terms of interprofessional learning, conversations across the 2 years, which we have data on, and hopefully publish a paper one day. We've been talking about that for about 10 years, I think. So I think it's just fantastic that we have this interaction or conversational aspect to our programs and our centre. So they not only sort of grow themselves, obviously, in terms of their own learning from our programs, but they also help each other grow, and that's really great to see. And a fundamental result of that is this interprofessional learning I'm talking about, that they actually challenge each other. They're always respectful. We have some ground rules about the online forum, so they can't be disrespectful. So that's our job as tutors. Not that they ever are, but they're not scared to challenge. And I think this is what they don't have in the real world when they're in child protection out there. It's very busy, and they get sucked into a lot of the operational work. Whereas when they're with us in our community of practitioners within the centre, they have this safe space, a safe platform to share their fears, concerns and worries about child protection. Obviously, they want to get something out of the MA as well as a degree itself. So the community of practitioners we've created also helps them to share their fears and worries and concerns about their practice. So the defensive practice Eileen was talking about, the MA really allows them through the online forums as well as the face-to-face study days to really to talk about what is worrying about them. And I think, you know, the MA has really allowed that, the programme has really allowed that safe space to be really developed. One of the things they do worry about when they come to us is, and one of the reasons why they probably come to us in the first place, is this integrating theory and research into their practice. So when students come to us, theory and research is a little bit of an add-on, a little bit of an afterthought, and practice is their main concern. So when they come to us, they have this fear, and I'm really happy to say that when they do leave, they do feel more confident with theory. They do integrate theory into their practice, and that is great to see. And it's really brilliant when they sort of share with us that they've gone into a meeting and they've applied the learning, they've applied a theory, and it's changed the course of decision. You know, that is just, I can't say how satisfying that is for us as a teaching team to know that we're making an impact, as you know, on the job, if you like. Critical analysis skills also really do develop across the 2 years. We do teach a research methods module. However painful they feel that module is, one of my students has described it as having childbirth, the analogy, and that just sticks with me throughout the years. However, that student has now written a book, so it does work. So these skills in research methods, however painful, they really do add to that critical thinking that students then adopt and take into practice, which is really, really brilliant. They also share a lot of best practice models with each other on the online forum. So if they're doing something brilliant up in Lancaster, then they can share it online, and somebody down in London can adopt it. So they really share, you know, information across. So they're building together and growing together. And it is this applied nature of the MA which attracts new learners into our community of practitioners. So that is an important. Oh, sorry, I forgot to say the reason I've chosen that image is because. However great this community of practitioners is, it's really difficult, and I know the students are all nodding their heads. It's a really difficult 2 years because, you know, they're working professionals, they've got lives, and they're frontline practitioners. It's not an easy experience. However, they do get to the finish line, and that is their determination, and as well as obviously the support they get within the centre. And they do make that finish line. But I did want to acknowledge that it is difficult. And during COVID particularly, I know how difficult it was for our students. So well done for that. And then the academic output Tracy's already alluded to in terms of the dissertations, the quality of dissertations. It leads to some published works, PhDs. So that's always fantastic for the students, but also for us as a centre to sort of be proud of. They develop competencies. They're here to improve their practice. So they do leave with improved competencies in whether it's supervision skills, risk assessment, cultural sensitivities, practice competencies do improve. So the end goal has been achieved. I just want to very briefly share 3 slides with some which former students have kindly said that I can share. And the reason I want to share these is because it shows that coming to the centre does enrich people's lives, and I think we still have this community going even when students finish with us. So Michelle Nightingale finished graduated in 2016, but she's convinced that she would not have got some of the roles that she's taken on post the MA if it wasn't for the MA, and it's really increased her confidence in lots of areas. Beth Gilby joined us from the 3rd sector, and it was always refreshing to hear about Beth because she was working in a voluntary sector. She always emphasised the importance of building relationships and spending time with families. And post the MA, she's gone on to work in the statutory sector now and taken that learning into that sector. And Beth really attributes the MA strongly to the self-reflection that it allowed for her to self-reflect on her practice and take it into work with children and families, and she really emphasises that as an important part of the MA. Menhaj Hamid was one of a cluster of students from Afghanistan who we've supported over the years. And for me personally, this is my sort of really good story that I keep close to my heart, because the context in which Menhaj worked was, I can't think of the words, but pretty horrific really, the cases that he was dealing with and his determination. He started with us as a standalone student and he progressed slowly and gradually to the MA, and we're meeting him actually next week, aren't we, because he's graduating. And yeah, he applied the MA to horrific context in Afghanistan, and he made such improvements to the work there and to the lives of children there, and I think it was just brilliant to sort of see his journey across, I think, 4 years. And this just sort of touches upon the international reach of our students, as well as Afghanistan. Because it's online, because it's distance learning, we do recruit students from all over the world, and that adds to the community of practitioners I'm talking about, because not only do the UK-based students learn a lot about global child protection, having students like Menhaj and others around the world, but we as a centre also really do develop our research base because of that global child protection, hence the addition of international to the centre's name a few years ago. As Tracy said, we're on LinkedIn, so if there are students who have left us on LinkedIn, please do, because it does mean that our community continues, you know, for years and years and years. I did want to briefly quickly say a few thank yous, just to say that, thank you to Jane and David, first of all, because without Jane and David, this distance learning online MA would not have happened, and this community of practitioners, the way it is at the moment, would never have existed. I want to say thank you to Tracy Aravinda, who, along with myself, have steered this community into new directions over the years. I want to say thank you also to Isabel and Alice, who couldn't unfortunately be here today, but they do bring a lot of practice-based teaching to our community of practitioners, as did Emma Suter, who's our trainer. And thanks to all the professional services staff. I've been here for 10 years and there's too many of them to name, but they have helped us to sort of start the community, sustain the community, and to help us to take it into new directions. So thank you to all of everybody. Thank you.
We are going to announce some of the nominations we've had for this inaugural collaboration award that we've initiated this year. So it is our Centre for Child Protection's Collaboration Award 2022, and it is about celebrating outstanding multidisciplinary collaboration. And we've had some phenomenal submissions. I wish they could have all been winners, but we only had one option for a winner. So I'm going to first talk about two highly commended nominations. So first of all, we had Ynys, this is Welsh, so please excuse me. Ynys Mon. Ynys Mon, thank you very much. Ynys Mon. Absolutely brilliant submission. They're not here today, but they have put in a quote, which I'm going to read on their behalf. So Claire Abt Richhart is the service manager for Ynys Mon local authority. And they said, "We are extremely proud of this recognition for our work with Action for Children and Anglesey. For many years, we have worked in partnership to develop innovative solutions to supporting children and young people through the most challenging times. The Blues and Bounce Back therapeutic projects have reached hundreds of children and have been an effective way of reaching out. The continued support offered by the Young Carers Project in the development of the AIDI Young Carers ID card and app has cemented our co-working relationships. We appreciate the role that Action for Children and their Young Carers support have played on assisting us to develop the Early Help Hub in Anglesey, and we hope that this will continue as we move into new, more integrated provision of early help across the island." Absolutely brilliant work that really showcases the importance of bringing everybody to the table to talk about child protection, including the third sector, local authorities, social workers, and everybody else. We're all integral to this. So again, a huge well done, highly commended efforts to Ynys Mon. Another highly commended collaborative project is the Joint Agency Group Supervision project by Norfolk Safeguarding Children's Partnership. And there's some highlights on the slide, but they are with us tonight. And I'd like to just invite them up to say a quick word in response to this recognition. Hello. That's working.
Me and Lucy just want to really say it's a great privilege for the Centre to recognise the work of Norfolk Safeguarding Children's Partnership. Something that we've referred to as JAGS. It's got nothing to do with John Prescott, but it stands for Joint Agency Group Supervision. And we started this journey when a local safeguarding learning practice review encouraged us to look at the emotional impact that safeguarding has on professionals, especially when coupled with uncertainty, which we've heard about tonight as well. And through the initiative that we've developed, we've helped our professionals across the whole partnership of health, education, police, the voluntary sector, everyone in Norfolk to come together to jointly analyse information that they have and consider and reflect on the practice and the effects of the practice that they're doing as a team with children and families. So yeah, well, thank you for recognising us, and we're really hopeful that throughout the practice that we're doing, we're strengthening the collaboration of everyone working together.
Again, an amazing example of doing something above and beyond, pulling some important collaborative endeavours together with really positive outcomes that you guys have actually been exploring through research, actually, trying to gather some data in terms of the impact it's had, which has been phenomenal. The winner of the Collaboration Award is not able to attend tonight, but they have provided a video. So it is the Vulnerable Adolescent panel from Northamptonshire Integrated Care Board. It's been a phenomenal project which brings together a number of different child protection agencies and stakeholders to look at, in particular, extra familiar harm in the community, really embedding and unpacking contextual safeguarding matters, looking at risk in that community, safe places and spaces. They sort of offer support within this VAP, I think they call it, Vulnerable Adolescent Panel. They offer support within it, they offer collaborative, they build, again, a community of expertise. I wrote it down because I loved what Eileen said about expert teams versus teams of experts. And I think all three of these examples have shown that we are that there are some amazing expert teams out there versus just experts. So, I mean, again, a huge acknowledgement to their work, their endeavours, this innovative, collaborative work that's been undertaken. And I'm just going to show you their video really quickly now as well, hoping that all of the IT works the way I would like it to.
Hi, I'm Kay McAllister. I'm one of the chairs of Northamptonshire's Adolescent panel.
Hello, I'm Nicholas Brown. I'm also chair of the panel.
On behalf of Northamptonshire's Adolescent panel, I'd like to thank the Centre for Child Protection for this award. I just want to say how thrilled and delighted we are to receive this award in recognition of our collaborative work in the field of child exploitation and extra familiar harm.
We'd also like to thank our panel members who are here with us today from across the system for their commitment and passion to work together to support our vulnerable young people.
We know that we have a lot more work to do to continue to support and protect our most vulnerable young people. And this award affirms our strongly held belief that we are stronger and achieve more together, which is the belief that underpins the work of Northamptonshire's Adolescent panel.
So again, if we could just say a huge well done. They will be having this trophy posted to them. I don't know if you want to accept it on their behalf, Aravinda. Just to show.